Hello all, welcome to the program Know Your Government by Ekam IAS, an initiative where a government scheme is picked upon, elaborated and is followed by a question which is in line with the UPSC pattern. Today we will look into a scheme which is known as the Unnat Bharat Abhiyan 2.0, Unnat Bharat Abhiyan version 2 or 2.0. Now, Unnat Bharat Abhiyan is a scheme which has been implemented by the HRD Ministry. Ministry of Human Resources Development is the nodal ministry which is implementing the Unnat Bharat Abhiyan version 2.0 scheme. Now, this scheme is one which is mainly envisaged to enable the higher educational institutions in our nation to work with the people of rural India, higher educational institutions of our nation to work with the people of rural India for one in identifying developmental challenges and evolving appropriate solution for accelerating sustainable growth. So, higher educational institutions in our nation involving or interacting with the rural India, coming up with solutions which can play a pivotal role in the sustainable development of our nation is one of the key objective of Unnat Bharat Abhiyan. Now, because higher educational institutions, especially those institutions in the field of science, technology, engineering, management, etc., they would have highly capable technologies or capabilities with them which can be really used for the benefit of the development of rural India. Then, if this aims to create a virtuous cycle, a cycle between society and an inclusive academic system. So, which means that whatever be the need which has been propelled up in the society, the academic system, could go back and do a research upon that, can do a study upon that, and finally, they can come up with a solution so that that can be implemented in a very effective manner. Now, also to upgrade the capabilities of both the public and the private sectors in responding to the developmental needs of rural India, because the academic system is now going to a rural scenario and understand, okay, this is a need which is there in that rural India, upon which the public sectors or the private sectors companies can act on it and can come up with a solution as well for that. So, the crux is higher educational institutions making a key touch in the lives of especially the people who are belonging to rural India. Now, under Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, students from colleges and universities will go to nearby villages. So they will be going and visiting nearby villages to get acquainted with the life of the village people and the problems faced by them in their day-to-day life. So the students will be going to the respective villages which is nearby and understand what are all the problems which are faced by the villages. Now, under this, the institutions have been selected on a challenge mode, and the scheme has been extended to close to 750 reputed higher educational institutions in our nation, and that is including both public as well as private institutions in our nation. So, understand that in Unnat Bharat Abhiyan initiative, both the private institutes as well as public institutes are going to play a role in transforming the lives of people. Then, IIT Delhi has been designated to function as the National Coordinating Institute for this program. So, IIT Delhi is going to play a pivotal role in terms of the implementation of this program. Now, for this program, and the ministry intends to extend the coverage to all the reputed higher educational institutions in a phased manner. So, in a phased manner, the ministry is planning to leverage the capabilities of those prominent institutions which are in our nation, which are at par with the level of IIT Delhi, etc. Now, each selected institutes would adopt a cluster of villages or panchayats and gradually expand the outreach to a larger section over a period of time. So, each institute is going to adopt a village or a panchayat, understand the needs and act on it subsequently and appropriately. Now, the institutes to their faculty and students, so the key idea is that institutions are going to make a key touch in the life of rural people. How? Institutions, they are going to carry out studies of living conditions. So, how living conditions are in a rural village. So, that is the first area which the institute is going to study. Second thing is assess the local problems and needs of that villages. Assessing the local problems and needs of that villages. Third one, leveraging the technological interventions, which is the strength of this educational institutions. So understanding what are all the needs in the local villages and leveraging the technical strength, which is with the institutes, as well as improving the process and implementation of various government schemes. So support the government in implementing various government schemes as well in this rural areas is something which is done under this initiative. Now, and prepare a workable action plan for the selected villages. Say for example, one institute can have a good and extreme solar technology with them. So a village which is nearby to that institute may be facing acute power supply failure. So probably these institutes can play a role in terms of leveraging their solar technology and understanding that that's the problem which is there in that particular village, and this problem can be bridged upon. So that is how the Unnat Bharat Abhiyan is going to move upon. Now the vision of this program is, or Unnat Bharat Abhiyan is inspired by the vision of transformational change in rural developmental process by leveraging the knowledge institutions. So transformational change in rural development by leveraging the knowledge institutions is one of the key vision of Unnat Bharat Abhiyan. Now, what are all the goals of this or the key objectives of Unnat Bharat Abhiyan? First one is to ensure that to build an understanding of the development agenda with institutes of higher education and an institutional capacity and provide training relevant to national needs, especially of those in rural India. So with the capability of higher education institutions, understanding what are all the key problems in a rural, local India, and accordingly provide them with training so that can be nullified upon is one of the key goals of Unnat Bharat Abhiyan. Second one is to re-emphasize the need for the field work, for stakeholder interactions and design for societal objectives based upon, or societal objectives as the basis of higher education. More and more people at higher education are going to have an interaction with the local and rural people. They are going to get massive inputs as well. So facilitating that stakeholder interaction and management is again one of the key objectives. To stress on rigorous reporting and useful outputs as central to developing new professions, because once you are going to talk with the rural people and you are going to understand about their problem, it can eventually lead to a new kind of a profession in place. Say for example, previously the rural people were having a lot of mental related stress or mental related issues, and subsequently the profession of counselors has come into play and they have played a pivotal role in helping the rural population. So similarly, accordingly, depending upon the need of rural India, this program is also envisaging upon for the creation of new professions as well. Now, next one is to provide rural India and regional agencies with access to the professional resources of the institutes of higher education. As we have already discussed, the resources or the professional resources which are with the higher education institutions is now to be shared to the rural people so that they are also yielding the benefit of the same. Now, to improve developmental outcomes as a consequence of the research put up by the higher education institutions, and to develop new professions and new processes to sustain and absorb the outcomes of the research, so that the development of new professions as well as development of new processes, so that the local people are benefited to a larger extent, is also one of the key objectives of Unnat Bharat Abhiyan. Then, to foster new dialogue with the larger community on science, society and the environment, and to develop a sense of dignity and collective destiny. So focusing upon the elements of science, society and environment as well, so that the rural people are able to live a life with dignity. Now, under Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, the major areas in which the Unnat Bharat Abhiyan is going to make an intervention is mainly divided into two. One is regarding the human developmental aspects, and second one is regarding the material or the economic developmental aspects. The human developmental aspects would include health, education and culture, values and perception development, as well as skills and entrepreneurship. That is basically all those areas which are related to the people part. With some element of common sense, we can easily segregate this area. If at all a question is coming from them, accordingly we may be able to eliminate options. So the human developmental part would include health, education, values and perception development, as well as the skills and entrepreneurship. So those things which an individual level would need, whereas the material developmental part would involve organic agriculture and cow-based economy, water management and conservation, renewable energy sources, artisans and rural industries, development and harnessing of local natural resources, then basic communities as well as the e-support or the IT support. So all those infrastructure part or infrastructure related support which is needed for the rural segment of population is something which has been coming under the material developmental part. Now if you look at the structure which is in place for the Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, what you have is the sponsoring ministry or the MHRD at the top, followed by the National Steering Committee. So to the National Steering Committee we are having basically the subject expert groups as well as the state nodal officers, wherein which the IIT Delhi is acting as the national coordinating institutes. Under the national coordinating institutes, you will have different regional coordinating institutes, and lot of political institutions are also playing a pivotal role in the implementation of the scheme. And those political institutions would include the district administrations, the Panchayati Raj administrations, as well as different voluntary organizations. So this is how, from a structural level, the scheme has been set up. We are having the MHRD at the top, then National Steering Committee. Below that, we will have the National Coordinating Institute, Regional Coordinating Institute, and different political institutions. Say for example, like the district administration, the Panchayati Raj administration, and different volunteer organizations. We will now see a question which is based upon Unnat Bharat Abhiyan version 2.0. With reference to Unnat Bharat Abhiyan 2.0, which of the following statements given below is or are correct is the question. This is a program by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. We have seen that this is not a program by Health and Family Welfare, this is a program by MHRD, which is making the first statement false. So option A and option C are eliminated. We are left with option B and option D. The second statement is health, education and culture, values and perception development, skills and entrepreneurship are the areas of material development identified under the scheme. So as we have already seen, these are all the areas which are not related to the material developmental part, but these are the areas which are related to the human developmental part, because those are self-explanatory, because these are areas which are more or less needed at an individual level. So which is making the second statement as well as wrong. First statement wrong, second statement wrong, and we are finalizing the answer as option D, neither one nor two. Thank you so much.